Welcome, ladies, to your 9:30-ish workout with me on a Monday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to go ahead and start with a high knee. Oh, oldie but a goodie.
Next workout will begin in 6
What a relief it is to get
Please
moving
proceed to a station.
on this kind of overcast day. I don't know about you, but I tend to, when I'm at home, I linger over my coffee and I go, yeah, I'll work out, but this blanket is so nice. So I know how much of a struggle it can be to put your shoes on, to get your mat out, and to get on that Zoom call. So I just want to tell you that I appreciate you, I'm proud of you, good job. Good, let's bring those hands up. We're gonna add little jabs here. Shoulders are back and down. Very, very nice. And we do want to try to keep our chest as open as possible, upper back sort of nice and flat, so no caving here. Good. Beautiful, ladies. And breathing, very good. Now, keep going while I tell you about our equipment. Our equipment today, we just got a mat, we just got 2 weights, and that's it.
Set 1.
Speaking of which, let me grab mine. Beautiful. And let's do 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to bring little tap outs. Now here I'm going to encourage you to go quickly. Sometimes we've done tap outs with a twist through the torso and the hips, not so with this one. I want the hips, if they had headlights on each hip, they would be shining straight forward, and your toes basically pointing straight forward. Good. This is going to allow us to move a little bit faster because we take a tap out of the equation. Core stays nice and tight, and the upper body is bringing itself back and forth a little bit of a sway, but not crazy. We're not tilting all the way over. Good. Again,
set 2.
when we center our body weight, that helps us move a little bit faster. We're going to bring the hands up as if we're ready to catch a football. We're going to go ahead and bring the feet out just a little bit wider. Up on the toes slightly. Hips are slightly back. Oh, we're going to begin with a little football shuffle here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Very good. Now for sets 3 and 4, we're going to go into a drill. We have 2 moves. Move number 1, I will go knees, and then you will give me 1 high knee on each side, and that's it. Good. So let's practice that. Knees, right, left, go. Good. Knees, 1, 2, go. Now you notice that my knees stay fairly on the wider side because it's easier to land where I need to be with my stance here. So if I did knees here, I would have to readjust. Which is kind of weird. Good. Move number 2 is squat. When I yell squat, you're going to drop your heels. Very important. Send your hips back. 1 squat, and then you go. That's it. We got knees. 1, 2, go. We got squat. Oops. Heels. Good. Squat. Boom. Keep it going.
Stop exercise.
Go ahead and take a break. I'm gonna have you shake out your legs. Just give yourself a little, beautiful. Come up real quick, cause, there it is. All right, last round. Get those feet going. Get that booty back. Back is nice and flat. And knees, 1, 2, go. Squat, heels, hips. Good. Squat, heels, hips. Knees, 1, 2. Knees, 1, 2. Squat, heels, hips.
Stop exercise.
Beautiful. All right, ladies. So for our first set, we're going to go into squats. A regular squat. Now, if your knees are sensitive, I want you to take this slow and don't go very deep, okay? That's gonna be my biggest thing. Heels are down, feet are maybe touch wider than hip distance apart, and the toes are very slightly turned out, not like a sumo squat, okay? On the softest V. You're gonna send your booty back,
and shift your weight into your heels. Your toes should stay down, but you should be able to wiggle them at any given moment. So we're just gonna start with the hinge here. So I'm gonna show you my lower back as I go back. A lot of times when we talk about hinging, what we mean is we want a nice neutral lower back.
Stop,
And when we
exercise.
pull the belly button in, we want to avoid any tucking. So unlike a plank where we emphasize the squeeze here, when we say tighten your core with a squat, you're really just setting your abs as if someone's about to come up and punch you in the stomach. Okay, so that's step
Begin
one,
set
hinge
two.
and abs. Step two, you're going to bend your knees, right? Back and then down. Then you're going to drive through the heels, squeeze your butt until your hips are directly underneath you. And repeat. Good. So here and there, I always like to go over the form for a proper squat. If your knees are sensitive, you can just give me a nice sort of 45-degree half squat. Good. And every time you want to pull your hips underneath you. Sometimes in an effort
Exercise.
to keep the hinge in their heads, which is admirable, pardon me, but I see people kind of do this. Now that eventually is going to get real tiresome for that lower back. So you just want to make sure, get that full glute squeeze. Good.
Begin set three.
Beautiful. Now sets 3 and 4, we're going to start to get into the work. We're going to pick up the pace. You're going to keep pace with me. 1, 2, 1, 2. Very nice. 1, 2. And if you're doing a mini squat, you just go 1, 2, 1, 2. You're still doing the same rhythm. Here we got 1, 2, 1, 2. Very nice. Keep it going. Gorgeous.
Stop, exercise.
Ooh, nice. Now that heart rate should have come up just a little bit. And we're going to try to stay true to that rhythm through set 4. However, I am going to have you grab a single hand weight. You're going to hold it in both hands down.
Begin
When
set
you come
4.
down, you want to make sure that the weight kind of drops between the thighs. So we're not sending the weight out here. Okay. 1, 2. 1, here's a shallow squat. 1, 2, 1, 2. And here's a deeper squat. 1, 2. Keep your chest up. 1, 2. I don't care if the weight actually hits the floor. A lot of times people will give me a too far of a fold. 1, 2 in order to achieve that. 1, 2. Very good. Here
Stop,
we go.
exercise, and switch
3,
to next
2,
station.
1. Excellent. All right, go ahead and hold on to that weight. We're going to grab the other hand weight. And we're going to go into a little bit of balance and back. So we're going to start with the big letter A. On a tightrope, please. So you essentially have one foot directly behind the other. You're going to send your torso forward. So you're making a nice straight line from your torso to your heel. And pull those elbows up, little squeeze of the upper back. Now, I'm not exaggerating my squeeze today through the traps because I had a little injury with mine last week, so I'm just going really, really gentle here. But if your back is healthy, we do want to make sure that we challenge ourselves. So those elbows are going to come up high, and you're going to give you a nice, healthy pinch of the shoulder blades. Good. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Now, if you'd like, you can keep going and just pause briefly enough to switch feet. Bring your feet all the way together. Other foot back, giant letter A.
Begin
and squeeze.
set 2.
Good. Now, the balance aspect is because your base of support is so narrow. When your back foot is directly behind your front foot, that is going to make you a little bit wobbly. For today, that's okay. So if you need to kind of pause and get your balance, that's part of it today. Beautiful. Now, if you are a little bit worried about balance, you can always take that back foot and bring it out to the side a little bit wider so that you're less on a tightrope and more on like railroad tracks. Go ahead and take this break here. And roll the shoulders up, back, and down, just trying to release any tension you may have accrued in your neck. Very nice.
Begin
All right,
set 3.
sets 3 and 4, here we go. Switching feet again, torso forward, belly button pulled in. Again, that means that we're not tucking the tailbone necessarily. With this one, the back stays neutral. You just want to ensure that you're trying to get your belly button to your spine, which is just going to give your lower back a little bit of support. Good. Very nice. Little squeeze. That on your back, squeeze. Good. Beautiful, ladies.
Stop exercise.
Keeping that neck nice and long, keeping that chest nice and open. Go switch sides. Sometimes I do see a little bit of over-exaggeration in the upper body where they kind of cave the chest and round the upper back. We don't want that. We want to
Begin
go
set 4.
from a lovely open chest to an even lovelier opener chest. Okay. Squeezing, squeezing. Excellent. I'm moving nice and slow here. I'm just being really gentle with my upper body. But if you want to go a little heavier, if you want to pick up the pace by like 5%, or if you want to bring your torso down a little farther, all of those is going to make this more challenging. I'm not going to do it, but you can. Good. Beautiful.
Stop exercise.
Ooh, go ahead and come up to standing. We're going to put the weights down. Oh, thank goodness. Let's come on down to the floor. We're going to work on some planks. So, I'm going to begin with a knee plank. Beautiful, rolling my shoulders back and down.
Begin set 1.
So a knee plank here, a lot of times I'll see people try a knee plank with their butt up in the air. That's not going to get much ab work. We want to make sure that your tailbone is tucked and that your hips are right in line. Your abs are trying to pull your hip bones up to the bottom of your rib cage. And some people will do this, kind of keeping the feet elevated. I like to try to relax my feet down to the floor. And the glutes are going to be squeezed. Very good. We're starting here. Pretty simple, right?
Stop exercise.
Don't worry, it gets more complicated. All right, set 2. If you're feeling pretty good in your lower back and you want to try something a little bit more challenging, we're going to take our feet in our knee plank and we're essentially going to tuck them underneath us.
Begin set 2.
We start in a knee plank and we count 3, 2, 1. Now this is very important. You're going to drive through the toes, pick your knees up, make sure that your hips do not get left behind, and hold 3, 2, 1. Gently drop your knees, make sure your hips are still in line. The reason I say don't leave your hips behind is sometimes people end up sagging their hips when they pick their knees up. That's really not great for the lower back. 3, 2, 1. Knees up, hold 3,
Stop exercise.
2, 1. Drop your knees, moving child's pose. Excellent. So, when we go through this, I want you to pay special attention to the lower abdominals.
Begin set 3.
Now, when we drop our knees, we lose the help of the quads. Good. 3, 2, 1. Then when we pick up the knees, we straighten out the legs, and suddenly the quads and the glutes are really engaged. And hold. 3, 2, 1. Now slow down your knee drop a little bit. Notice that your quads have to let go, but also notice that your lower abs have to work harder to keep your tailbone tucked. Knees up. 2, 1, and slow
Stop
drop.
exercise.
Keep your lower back flat. Very good. Hips back. Child's pose. Excellent. I'm going to show one more progression of this. Essentially, we're going from a straight leg plank to a bent leg plank without dropping the knees all the way to
Begin
the floor.
set 4.
Follow me into this one if you're ready. We're going to start with a full straight leg plank. Glutes and quads engaged. Hold. Then, you're going to pick your heels up, drop your knees, but keep your lower back flat. Do not let your lower back bow. And hold. Now you're going to straighten out those knees. Squeeze your glutes, tuck your tailbone, and hold. Then you're going to soften your knees. Drop them toward the floor, but don't drop them all the way. Keep your back flat and hold.
Stop exercise
Woo.
and switch to the next station.
So hopefully you notice the difference between the straight leg and the bent leg plank. And let's turn over onto our backs, no time to lose. We're gonna go into a normal, regular, isometric, not fancy bridge.
Begin set 1.
Good. So when the knee in a plank is bent, you lose the support from the glutes and the quads, so the abs have to work that much harder to keep the lower back from bowing. Now for some people, they need the help from the glutes and the quads, which is why we often teach straight leg plank first. But I'm hoping you felt the difference between those two planks, and you can bring a little bit of variety into your own workouts. All right, what are we doing here? Well, our butt is up off the floor. Our heels are driving into the mat.
Stop
Our
exercise.
arms are at our sides, and our belly button is pulled into the spine. We're not moving, we're not adding anything, except that we're going to take everything we're doing and dial it up 5% more. So your heels, don't
Begin
elevate your
set
toes
2.
necessarily. Keep your toes down, but about 70% of your weight should be driving through your heels. So those heels are just gonna press 5% harder into the mat. Okay? Then your hamstrings are just gonna squeeze together 5% more. Maybe your hips come up a tiny bit, but then your butt cheeks are gonna pinch together 5% more. Your belly button into your spine 5% more. All right? Now it's starting to burn. Okay, 5% more from that, so 10% from where you started. Heels,
Stop
hammies,
exercise.
glutes, abs, hold, 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 hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, slowly drop your hips, pull one knee and then the other into your chest. We're gonna do all of
Begin
that
set
again,
3.
except this time your feet are going to be all the way together. Ankles are touching, knees are touching. Pick those hips up, start normal. So you're not too high in your hips, this feels kind of relaxed. You're like, oh, nice. Until you realize that your knees are starting to separate and you're like, okay, gotta pull those all the way together. All right, so now your inner thighs are starting to burn. Okay, 70% of your weight is in your heels, and then your heels are just gonna squash a bug a little bit harder.
Stop
Good.
exercise.
Then you've got a bug between your knees, you're gonna squash that bug a little bit harder, just 5% harder. Okay. You're gonna squeeze your butt just a tiny bit more. Good. You have a family heirloom between your butt cheeks,
Begin set 4.
and it's getting harder to hold on to over time. So squeeze, belly button in, good. All right, now everything you're doing, 10% more. Drive, 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 heels, knees, butt, abs. This should feel pretty intense by now. If your legs aren't shaking, I want you to dial it up 5% more. So now you're like 25% up from where you started at the beginning of set 3. I'm burning like crazy. And if I'm burning, you
Stop
certainly should be
exercise
burning.
and switch to the next
Ooh,
station.
go ahead and drop those hips. Ah, pull one knee and then the other into the chest. Oh, that is so good. And let's go ahead and turn over onto our sides. We're going to go into a clamshell because I've decided that you haven't worked your butt enough.
Begin
So,
set 1.
Down on your elbow for this guy, you're going to bring your knees forward slightly so that your heels are lined up with your butt. So we don't want the heels way out ahead of you. We don't want the knees way behind. You're going to keep your ankles glued together and open up that knee. Now what's very important with this one is that the hips stay stacked. Many times this is what I see. People will open up and they roll open, so they get a lot of distance here. I don't care as much about that. I care about your hips staying stacked, your core staying tight, and you're getting as much
Stop
range of
exercise.
motion here as you can without rolling. Now you'll see, even with me, that's not that much. My knees aren't that open here because I insist on keeping my hips stacked. And you'll also notice that I'm just holding my knees wide. I'm not closing them.
Begin set 2.
Ooh, set 2, here we go. We're gonna start a pulse. Now you went from your widest point to a tiny bit wider. That's what the pulse looks like. And we should be getting some fairly significant burn now on the outer thigh. When we just did our bridges, we did those knees squeezed together. You should have felt a ton of burn on the inside of your thighs, and now you're getting it right here on the outside of that booty. Whoo, good. Those pulses are small, they are slow, and they're right at the outside of your range of motion.
Stop, exercise.
Without rolling back onto your butt. Excellent. Let's go ahead and switch on over to the other side. Good. Just so you know, at the end of set 4 here, we will be grabbing our weights. So yeah, just make sure your heels and butt are lined up.
Begin set
Down on
3.
your elbow if you like. Hips stacked. Open up those knees and just hold it for the time being. Good. Pull your belly button in. Good. Feel where your hips are. One should be right on top of the other. And then glue your ankles together to see if you can get a tiny bit more height and just hold. I've got to work on my strength here, I think. Look, it's so small. But again, if I roll back even a little bit, I could get it way wider, but I'm just making sure that I don't. Good. And this, just holding it, should already burn. And here we go into set 4, we add our pulse. Again, heels and ankles pretty much together. Pulsing from your widest point to a tiny bit wider, which requires a ton of control.
Begin set 4.
Keep that range of motion small. Good, and breathe. Again, core tight, hips stacked. Beautiful. You should be getting a lot of burn on the outside here. Chances are you might even feel a little bit more burn on this side, because this lower leg doesn't look like it's doing anything, but it is driving into the floor to try to get you some leverage. Good, excellent, ladies. Whoo. Burning, burning.
Stop exercise and switch to the next
It feels so good to let that go. All right, let's go ahead and grab a single hand weight. Actually, let's grab both. But one of them's just gonna hang out near our mat. The other one's gonna be in both hands. All right, so we're grabbing it from either end, just like so. And we're gonna start with a very simple shoulder pullover. Now, a shoulder pullover is different from tricep skull crusher in the sense that you're moving only from the shoulder. With a tricep skull crusher, I'll show you the difference. You're moving only from the elbow here. That's not what we're doing. We're keeping sort of a soft Barbie doll elbow as we move. Now we're going to add a few elements as we move through this, but first, let's pay attention to the shoulders. As you begin to go overhead, you should feel some work through the rotator cuff. Good, and then when you approach the level of your chest, you should feel just a teensy bit of that front deltoid waking up. Excellent. All right, set 2, we're not going to add any movement necessarily, but what we are going to do is you're going to keep your feet really light on the mat. Think about the mat as if it's made of very delicate glass. And you can rest your feet on the glass, but if you push into it, it's going to shatter. You don't want that. Good. Keep your core tight. Your back is flat and down. Excellent. So you should already start to feel a little bit of ab work. And especially in the upper abs, as that weight goes over your head, you're going to feel your upper abs working to keep your rib cage from doing
exercise.
This. We don't want a rib cage pop up here. You want to keep it tucked in and down. All right, you can take a quick break here if you want to. Now, if your lower back is sensitive, you're only going to do one leg at a time.
Begin set 3.
Okay. But if you are strong today, you can go ahead and bring both. You're going to tap your knees to the weight. Back stays flat as you extend those arms over your head and those legs away from the body. Not too far. I mean, if you're feeling like freaking, American Ninja today, you can do all the way out, but that's going to be very, very challenging, so please be careful. I recommend a little bit of range of motion. Good, let's keep it going, and again, let me demonstrate the modified. If you're doing one leg at a time, you'll go ahead and switch to the other leg. And still, same thing. Extension, and pulling it back. Your lower abs are still getting plenty of work
Begin
because
set
that
4.
foot is so light on the floor. Because remember, the floor is made of glass. Or if you want a slightly more disturbing image, just imagine that my hands are underneath your feet. You don't want to break my fingers. Sometimes that one works better for people. I don't know what it is. Very good. I'm going to go ahead and do the progression here, moving both legs at a time. Lower back is flat. Nice and slow, please. Extension. Feel those lower abs working hard. Back is flat, back is flat.
Stop exercise
Woo.
and switch to the next.
Very nice. Now you're going to go ahead and hold on to that one weight. You're going to grab the other one. We're going to go into a chest press combined with a tricep skull crusher. So fun. So we're going to basically stick to a narrow chest press. This is palms facing each other and the elbows are at the waist. So we're going to start extended. Here's one, down and up. And then the tricep skull crusher. Skull crush, extend. So we have the two movements flowing into each other. 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. 4 distinct movements. Chest, press, tricep, crusher. Good. 1,
Exercise.
2, 3, 4. Good. Go ahead and take a break if you want to. So this is basically going from a large muscle group into a smaller muscle group. So you're holding on to a single set of weights. Be mindful about that. You may start heavy and need to go down. That's totally normal. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. But my goodness, what a well-rounded exercise we have here. And what we're going for with each bend of the elbows is 90 degrees. 90 degrees by the waist, then 90 degrees in the air. The elbows should also always be parallel to each other. Parallel as we tricep skull crush, parallel as we chest press.
Stop exercise.
Very good. Go ahead and take a break. If you need to. Again, I'm babying my upper body today. Very nice. And if you celebrate Easter, I hope you had a wonderful Easter. I may or may
Begin
not
set 3.
have bought Starburst jelly beans from the grocery store. It's my favorite part of Easter. 1, 2, 3, 4. And today, ladies, just a reminder, I do have a client right after our session, so we will have to sprint away. 1, 2, 3, 4, but just know that I send you all of my love and all of my springtime wishes. 1, 2,
Stop
3,
exercise.
4. Very good. Whew. Keep going if you like. I'm going to take that break. And it is a brand new month in spring. Wonderful time to refocus our goals.
Begin
About
set
adding
4.
our cardio back into our routines, throwing some gorgeous spring produce into our meal plans. Think about that asparagus, ladies. Think about those strawberries. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I hope everybody is remaining healthy, staying safe. I know it's tough, but staying careful as well. Good. Almost there, my goodness. Ooh, my arms are
Stop
burning.
exercise.
That's it.
Your training
It is
is
now
not
complete. Great work. Beautifully done. And I will see you next week at the same time. Happy spring.